Welcome to the next episode of Least Worst Practices, the webinar type series where we find out that there's no silver bullet, but there's some stuff that you should use with lots of teams. I'm thrilled to be joined by Brittany. Who are you, Brittany? And then what's your least worst practice?
Yeah, I am Brittany Joiner. I am a Trello nerd. I voted most likely to get a Trello tattoo. Trello's #1 fan. I've got all sorts of accolades, but the end of the day, I am essentially obsessed with Trello. I've been using it for about a decade and using it for systems for myself, but also helping others do the same, working smarter in it. And yeah, I even wrote a book about it. So that's what I do. And my least worst practice is adding too many things to your boards and getting way out of hand and having shiny object syndrome. Let me explain what I mean by that. You're going to see all sorts of videos. You're going to go through some Atlassian training. You're going to be like, ooh, I want to add this. Ooh, I want to try this. And you're going to say, oh, Trello has automation. Well, I'm going to go over to these rules. And then your whole space is going to end up looking something like this. And you're going to be like, deer in the headlights. What do I do with that? That's a mess. Like, what do I do now? I see this happen with automation all the time. I see this even happen with power-ups because it's super easy to just, go to a power-up directory and search for whatever you want. And there's literally hundreds of power-ups, and you can find whatever you need there. And there's definitely a time and place for them. I love using power-ups. I love using automation, and I'm going to be the first person to tell you that you should use them. But my advice is to start with a problem you're trying to solve rather than just adding something to your board for the heck of it. Whether it's an automation, a power up, or even if, it could be any other sort of like third-party integration. Try to always start with what the problem is. What are you trying to solve? Are you unable to answer a question about your board? Maybe that's why you need a reporting power up, but don't go add 5 reporting power ups and then be surprised when you're just a deer in the headlights and there's too many buttons on your board and you don't know what to do with it.
Very good. Yeah, and I can certainly relate. I think my automation on any given board goes blah, blah, blah. So start with why, as Simon Sinek says, is the...
Yes, exactly. Yes, start with why and watch out for that shiny object syndrome. That's what I like to call it.
I'm obviously bitterly disappointed that it wasn't a Jira tip, but there we go. Into Trello, I think, was somewhat predictable.
Hey, it applies to Jira too. You can apply this to any sort of tool that you have, so it works for any of it. Just don't add all of the apps, or I think Jira calls them apps, not power ups, but same principles apply.
Yeah. And in fact, I always say with tooling hygiene, and you're totally right, this applies to any of them there. I always find it's like a little cycle where it's kind of like everyone starts with this idea that you're going to have a golden sort of configuration of kind of beautiful simplicity. And then you do, and you should sort of stray a bit as teams need things and try stuff out. And then there's the sort of hygiene, and then you begin the cycle again. And I always say that that's like a cycle that you need to buy into as a person who helps teams with tooling. Like if you try and fixate on staying at any one of those 3, that's going to be a fail for the people that you're trying to help with the tool, right?
Yep. Yeah. You're always going to be kind of moving through that for sure.
Lovely. Really love your tip, Brittany. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We will see you again soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me.